As a nurse, your current problem is that you only see the copper coin, you don't see the love. Don't be fooled by the copper. Seek the love. Before meeting Mrs. Bunch, I had a completely different understanding of what nursing truly meant. Though the title nurse seemed prestigious, the reality of the job was far less glamorous. It often involved 3 unappealing tasks: bathing patients, making beds, and attending to their bodily functions. Equipped with my full set of supplies, I entered the room of my first patient, Mrs. Bunch. She was a frail old woman with a head of white hair and skin that looked as delicate as ripe pumpkin flesh. "What are you here for?" she asked. "I'm here to give you a bath," I replied stiffly. "Well, please leave immediately. I don't want a bath today," she said, her voice breaking as large tears rolled down her cheeks. Ignoring her protests, I went ahead and bathed her. The next day, anticipating my return, Mrs. Bunch was prepared. She said, "Before you do anything, please explain the definition of nurse. Puzzled, I looked at her. "Well, it's hard to define," I stammered. "A nurse takes care of patients." At that, Mrs. Bunch swiftly pulled out a dictionary from under her bedsheet. "Just as I thought," she said triumphantly. "You don't even know what your job entails." She opened the dictionary to a marked page and read aloud. "Nurse, to care for the sick or elderly, to look after, nourish, nurture, or cherish." She closed the book with a snap. "Sit down, young lady. Today, I will teach you what it means to cherish." I listened. That day and for many days after, she shared her life story with me, recounting the lessons life had taught her. Eventually, she told me about her husband. Bain was a big, burly farmer with pants that were always too short and hair that was always too long. When he courted me, he would track mud into the living room. I always imagined I would marry a more refined man, but in the end, I married him. For our anniversary, I asked for a token of love. Such tokens were often made of gold or silver, engraved with intertwined hearts and the couple's initials, and hung on a delicate silver chain. On special days, they were exchanged as a symbol of love, she said, smiling as she touched the silver chain she always wore. On our anniversary, Bain hitched up the carriage and went to town while I waited on the hill. Watching the horizon for the dust that would signal his return, she continued, her eyes misting over. But Bain never came back. The next day, they found the carriage and brought me the terrible news, along with this. Mrs. Bunch carefully took out the token. It was old and worn, with small heart-shaped flowers etched on one side and Bain and Emma, eternal love, simply engraved on the other. "But this is just a copper coin," I said. "Didn't you say it was supposed to be gold or silver?" She put the token away, her eyes filling with tears. If Bain had returned that night, I might have seen only a copper coin. But now, I see love. She looked at me with piercing eyes. "Remember this, young lady. As a nurse, your current problem is that you only see the copper coin, you don't see the love. Don't be fooled by the copper. Seek the love." I never saw Mrs. Bunch again. She passed away that night. But she left me with the greatest gift: the ability to cherish my work and become a good nurse.